I want to move on to largely Quebec, but Manitoba as well. These big Chinese Bitcoin mining companies. So these server farms, basically, that mine for Bitcoins, eat up a ton of energy. They're moving to Quebec and Manitoba. Quebec because they get cheap energy.
Quebec because they keep cheap energy and because there's such a surplus. So they, interestingly, they were in China. China has now instituted a policy to say, in order to increase the price of electricity in China, we had too much surplus. What we're going to do is to restrict the flow of electricity. And by the way, the Chinese are not fond of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoins as a specific example. So as they push people out of there, the Chinese in particular, as well as a number of other countries, are saying, where can we find land for the buildings to put those servers in, and where can we find sources of electricity? So Quebec has jumped on this a little more quickly and said, we've got lots of surplus, we've got some land, we can sell you, and they're in it. Manitoba is hesitating, but is interested. A big concern in this, it's still a very volatile market, still a lot of uncertainty. So think of those gold miners that marched out. Some of them came back rich, some of them came back very poor, and the towns that grew up around them. So in this case, the Hydro Manitoba establishes the links and the lines and the infrastructure, and if it collapses, they're left with things going nowhere. So it's a really interesting story of good government management, going cautiously. Quebec saying, no, we're going to go a little quicker. And why Quebec? They had the pulp and paper facilities. These are beautiful uses for those old pulp and paper sitting entry towns and factories. So why Quebec can move a little faster than Manitoba? They've got everything they need to acquire it right away. Manitoba saying we need to be careful because we don't want to build a town that may not be necessary. So how do you manage uncertainty?
You talk about the gold rush. It'd be nice to hear a Robert Service poem about Bitcoin mining. Another time.
We need it. Darn. Where's he when you need it?
Thanks for this.
Thank you.
Associate Professor of Marketing at Ryerson University.